discuss the three kinds of systems. Going back, we started with disjointed information systems, its disadvantages. Then we moved on to having cross-functional systems, which will enable get benefit for the organization. In that context, we had discussed the ERP systems, enterprise resource planning systems, then its advantages and also impediments to its implementation. Then the other system that we took on was customer relationship management systems. In customer relationship management systems, we focused on what is customer relationship management, what is the need. The basic focus is we have moved from a seeing customer as a transaction to determining the lifetime value of the customer, which simply means that we retain the customer so that he becomes a loyal customer and he is a customer for us for a lifetime. And calculating lifetime value means calculating the present value of the expected future income flows that will occur to the organization. So this is the crux. We began with what is CRM, customer relationship management. Talks about retaining a customer because it is more costly to acquire a new customer than to retain an existing customer. It's 6 times more costly, as quoted by Kotler in his book. Now, therefore, we try to retain the customer. We first, this is based on the 2080 rule, which says that 20% of customers give you 80% of profits. So let us identify this group, nurture them and pamper them so they do not deflect. The crux is that we do not see customer as a transaction. Transaction means he comes, interacts, purchases from us and goes, and it's over. It's not that way anymore. We see the lifetime value, how much benefit we can get from this customer throughout his lifetime. So if he's a purchaser of a Maruti product and he's driving my vehicle, so he does not deflect. So 3 years later, 5 years later, when he wants to upgrade his vehicle, he upgrades the vehicle. A high version of the vehicle he gets is the same vehicle from the same company. Rather than purchasing a Maruti's vehicle, he goes to Hyundai or Tata Motors or any other company. So this is it. This is the crux. We need to retain him because it's 6 times more costly to get a new customer than an existing customer. Then there are other reasons like complaining customers will do business with us again if we are able to remove their grievance. And these are the reasons. And then we discussed also on the software. So what we do is we try to get a 360-degree vision of the customer. That is when he purchases, how he purchases, what kind of mode of payment, when he visits my store, and so on and so forth. We also threw light on CRM software capabilities, which was retention and loyalty program, customer service support, contact and accounts management, Salesforce automation. So these are the things that we discussed. That a dissatisfied customer would talk about his dissatisfaction to 8 to 10 people. Chances of selling to a new customer is only 15%, while selling to an old customer is as high as 50%. So it's better that we make a little bit of investment in order to retain my customer, right? Then a customer can boost profits by 85%. If we spend only something like 5% in order to retain a customer, then 70% of the complaining customers would do business again if we take care of if we remove his discontentment. Then it is used for customer service support, which means that we gather information from various sources. And from different sources, and also distribute this information to every touch point in the organization. Salesforce automation, we discussed this also. Then we talked about contact and accounts management, that we distribute this information to every point of contact. Then company can also engage in cross-sell, upsell, downsell, bundling. We were over with all this. We just did discuss them, what we mean by downsell, upsell, cross-sell. Now the phases of CRM is where where we had stopped. There are 3 phases. First, we need to acquire the customer, then enhance, and then retain. Acquire a customer means contact management, negotiation till he is converted into a customer, and then we enhance the customer and retain him. Acquire relies on CRM software tools and databases which help acquire customer by doing a superior job of contact management. That was our interaction with him, are convincing him to purchase a product, what we call sales prospecting, selling, and finally direct marketing and fulfillment means he is converted into a customer. The basic crux of acquiring is to, or the goal is to help customer perceive the value of superior product offered by an outstanding customer. So we should contact in such a way that he feels happy, and the customer feels that we are getting a better benefit than I would get from a comparative other competitor. Now, how do we try to enhance his experience? We try to keep him happy with either through cross selling, upselling, and thereby increase our own profits. We did talk about upsell or cross sell, so that he's ultimately not a dissatisfied customer. He's not a customer who comes to my shop, retail outlet, and goes back without purchasing. So there could be chances of upselling, there could be chances of cross selling, and thereby our focus is to increase our own profitability. So, the value the customer perceives is the convenience of one stop shopping at attractive prices. So, under one roof, we sell from what we call a needle to an aeroplane, means a host of variety of goods, so that he's contented coming to my outlet and purchasing my goods. So, he doesn't have to go to 10 different centers to purchase my product, it is readily available under my center. So, this is what we mean by enhancing customer experience. And then finally, we do all kinds of things in order to retain him. So we acquire, we enhance, and then retain. Retain helps the company to proactively identify and reward the most loyal customers. Like we talked of, I think we did talk about Reader's Digest, their strategy, that they use data mining to identify the best customers, and then to all the kinds of product offerings is first targeted to these customers, is first given to these customers. So we retain and reward the most loyal customer. We retain and expand their business via target market and leadership marketing program. So whatever discounts, schemes are first offered to them. So the value the customer perceives as of a rewarding personalized business relationship with the company. Now, what are the types of CRM? The phases, therefore, are first acquiring customer, then enhancing customer, enhancing his experience either through cross sell, upsell, downsell, whatever, and then um, uh, retaining the customer through different kinds of loyalty schemes. Now, coming to the type of CRM, there are three kinds of CRM: operational CRM, analytical CRM, and collaborative CRM. Now, let's see what is operational CRM. So, there are three kinds of CRM: uh, operational CRM, then analytical CRM, and collaborative CRM. So there we have discussed the phases. The phases are three phases. First is acquiring customer, then what we call nurturing or enhancing customers experience, and finally retaining customer. So these are the three phases. Now we move on to the types of CRM. It is operational, analytical, and collaborative. Under operational CRM, we support customer interaction with greater convenience through the different channels. It could be phone, fax, email, chat. It could be any channel that we talk of, where we try to interact with the customer, and we try to get a holistic view of the customer, or what we call a 360-degree appraisal of the customer. So operational supports customer interaction with greater convenience through a variety of channels like phone, fax, email, chat, mobile, wherever there is a contact point. It synchronizes customer interactions consistently or across all channels and makes your company easier to do business with. Now, coming to analytical CRM, so in operational, we try to consolidate all the information that we get about a customer from different contact points. Maybe he's a query he made on phone, or maybe he placed an order online, or he visited my stores. If every different contact points that I have, we try to compile information of the customer. That's operational. And analytical means once we have consolidated the information about a customer and created a 360-degree view of the customer, we analyze this information that we have. So it extracts in-depth customer details, history, preferences, profitability from your database and other database. We try to analyze the customer. It allows the company to analyze, predict, and derive customer value. So we try to create a picture of the customer, and we try to generate value. How? By making a offering which would please the customer. Now we know his preferences, now we know his choices. So we make a better product offering. So it allows the company to analyze, predict, and derive customer value and behavior, and also forecast demand. So if I know my customers have preference towards something, I can find out how many sales I would make in future period of time. So I make a better forecast. So it's not a haphazard forecast. I know the preferences. I know this group of customer has a liking for electronic goods. This group of customer would be willing to pay extra to get additional benefit. So we are trying. So we make a better forecast of. We are able to make a better forecast. We are able to make a better forecast by because we are able to analyze the information that I have about the customer. So it lets the company approach the customer with relevant information and offers that are tailored to their needs. So we're able to customize the needs, we are able to identify the needs of the customer and customize our offerings towards them. And last is collaborative CRM, operational, analytical, and collaborative. Collaborative enables easy collaboration with the customer, supplier, and partner. It improves efficiency and integration throughout the supply chain. It allows greater responsiveness to customer needs through sourcing of products and services outside the enterprise. So this is collaborative. So there are three kinds of CRM. And first is operational, where we try to compile information about the customer from various contact points, fax, phone, online order, whatever. Second is analytical. Once we have created a consolidated information of the customer, we mine that data that we have about the customer to find preferences of the customer. And third is collaborative. We make a collaboratively we decide which customer's requirement is what, and we are able to give him a better product offering. So what are the benefits? Business value of CRM is we have a better understanding of customer. Therefore, we can make better forecasts. Better forecasts. We can make better decision making in the product line. See, these are the items which are not preferred by my customer. So I can drop that product from my product line. I can make better marketing campaign, and I can, most important, I can reduce customer churn rate. Churn rate means deflection. They go to some other competitor. So the business value of CRM is better understanding of customers, better decision making in the product line. So either we decide to launch a new product, or we might decide to do away with some products, better marketing campaign, and reduce customer churn rate. Business value of CRM is we identify which customers are most profitable customer, we increase customer satisfaction, we decrease the marketing cost, and make more effective campaign marketing. So that's the crux of CRM. We began with importance. It is no more a transaction. Customer is no more a transaction, but he's we try to determine the lifetime value of the customer. We try to determine the lifetime value of the customer. Then second is then it is more costly to acquire a new customer than to retain a old customer. 6 times more costly. Then a complaining customer, a dissatisfied customer would complain to 8 to 10 people about his dissatisfaction. Then we can convert this, we can convert that. There are 70% chances that the complaining customer would do business with me again if I am able to remedy or remove his grievance. Now coming to that CRM, beyond CRM there is also CEM, which is customer experience management. The difference between the two is, yes, anybody can try. What's the difference between CRM and CEM? CRM is customer relationship management,
Ma'am,
and what
I would
CE
like to make, yeah. Ma'am, in customer experience management, we figure out what a customer is experiencing with our, from like the feedback part. And from in CRM, we try to resolve the issues of the customer. Am I right, ma'am?
anybody can try? Anyone else can make an attempt? Yes, customer relationship management. Customer would like what is the difference between the two? In CRM, basically we are talking about retaining the customer. Our focus is to see that he does not deflect. We ensure that he's no more a transaction. We try to determine the lifetime value. In CM, we try to focus on the experience that he has, and we try to enhance his experience. So we try to study. He visited my store. Was he really happy? If he was discontented, where is the discontentment? And we try to remove it. So we try to give him a more, say, worthy experience, so that through his experience, we try to retain him, not necessarily through the loyalty programs or the schemes. Under CRM, we try to, retain him by various kinds of schemes, loyalty programs, contact management, and so on. Under CM, we try to give him a good experience. Say, for instance, he comes to my retail outlet. The ambience is such that he's happy. It's a welcome ambience. He feels like visiting again. Or the display of products is such that he likes to visit my. They're not cluttered on the displays are not cluttered. They're very well organized. So he feels nice visiting my store, and he's able to inspect and select products. They are not cluttered. So what kind of a display I have, what kind of ambience I create, what kind of salesmen are there. So the focus is that we try to give him a valuable experience. If it's not a physical visit to my, say, retail store, if it's online visit to my website, even the website should not be cluttered. So you should be able to move from one page to another, and he doesn't like disbanding. So some of the websites are so cluttered that after a point of time, I just don't feel like moving through from one page to another. So it should be such that it should be such a welcome website that I feel like spending time. So how much time you have spent on the particular website is also determined by how well the website is designed. So it's a experience that we give to the customer, so that he feels like spending more time in my retail center or on my website searching for products. It's easy for him to move from one say page to another. So we try to enhance his experience, and that is kind of a study that we do. After he's visited my store, I try to take a feedback and find where are my plus points, where are my strengths, and where are my weaknesses. If there are any, we try to remove them. So we try to assess the experience he's had by visiting my store. So CRM focuses on relationship with customer, CM focuses on experience of the customer. CM works through the customer's viewpoint to assess the quality of the experience. So it's kind of a questionnaire that we give him, and a Likert scale, and we ask him to assess each statement. Like, did you like the way the display was, product displays? So you rank him something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you give a rating. I get a 5 on 5, or 3 on 5, or a 2 on 5, which says there is a scope for improvement. If I get 5 on 5, that means people are happy with the display. Then we ask about interaction with the salesman. So how was the experience, by whether salesman helpful? So again, a score of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is there. So if he gives 2, that means there's a huge scope for improvement. So maybe our salesmen do not interact well. Um, so we can improve on that end. So through a feedback form, a questionnaire, we try to elicit the experience the customer has, and we have n number of statements: interaction with the salesman, product display, how the how the products are displayed, then how they are from say they are they can move from one aisle to another without any hurdle. So smooth movement of flow of customers is there or not. So we try to try to assess on various parameters, and we try to find our strengths and also weaknesses. Weaknesses indicate where we can improve. So CM believes in focusing on the experience. It works through the customer's viewpoint to assess the quality of their experience. A CRM platform is an important investment. It keeps track of crucial data for inbound marketing and sales efforts, and also for analyzing customer behavior. Now, CRM is crucial of in order to keep your customers happy. They have technological solutions for gaining insight on your customers through the power of data. So you analyze the data. CRM pertains to managing your customer and also your prospect base, that is your future customers. Now, CM is basically a methodology, or it's a holistic approach that monitors and attracts customers through by giving him a great experience. So you feel like visiting that particular outlet again and again. So it monitors and attracts customer by basically giving him a good experience. It is generally more of a platform or software solution that allow company to track customer and prospect interaction to drive sales and insight and resolves issues. Now, what do we need? We need a CRM or we need a CM. So both go hand in hand. We need both. We need a customer relationship management in order to retain them, and also CAM is important. If we give him a valuable experience, then automatically he's retained. Both are needed in order to keep customer happy. Now, CRM's goal is to retain existing customers by maintaining and improving relationship. It's basically a technology, it's basically a solution, it's a best practice, and it's also strategy. CRM platforms are through Salesforce, then we have Microsoft Dynamics, NetSuite. We use the power of data basically to consolidate information about customers and analyze data to retain your customer. We analyze how they became a customer, what do they buy from you, how often they visit my outlet, how much do they spend at a time, what is the mode of payment, the way they interact with your website, and other parts of your online presence also. Now, CM focuses on gathering and utilizing the experiential data. So we take a feedback. So what experience we had. So we analyze this experiential data. It is the practice of designing and reacting to customer interactions to meet or exceed customer expectations and thus increase customer satisfaction, loyalty, and advocacy. Objective of experience management is to gather, track, organize all steps of customer journey through customer's perspective. So we see, analyze it. I feel my website is good, or I feel my display in the outlet is good. Okay, and I have given what a customer wants. But let me see through the eyes of the customer what my offerings are. Maybe everything is fine, but when you come to the billing, it is too cluttered. So maybe I need to have more billing centers there. So I have 2 billing points. Let me have 7 billing points because they spend too much time there. So let us see the experience the customer has from the customer's perspective. So from our perspective, maybe our display is good, we are organized and everything, but let us see from the customer's perspective. Now, CM does so through reviews, surveys, direct feedback, and other ways of communicating directly with customers regarding their experience. This data is used to improve my own processes, improve customer experience, increase the loyalty and efficiency of the organization. So both are needed. CRM and CM optimize customer relationship. CRM facilitates relationship building, while CM focuses on monitoring and improving their experience. And as I said, both go hand in hand. CRM is more transactional by tracking metrics, how much customer spends at a time, what categories of items he purchases. CM is not concerned with, it is not transactional, it is not concerned with by tracking metrics. They are just concerned about the, regardless of how much they spend, etc. We just want to analyze, did they have a good experience? Yes or no? If no, there's a huge scope for improvement. So that's CRM and CM. Now we move on to, so we have discussed with what is CRM, we have discussed the phases of CRM today, the benefits, then we have discussed the phases of CRM, the types of CRM, which is operational, analytic, and collaborative, and also what is CEM, that is an extension of a CRM, which is customer experience management. Now I have taken the class from Asif, so because I would like to extend further. So we have been able to cover what is disjointed information system, information islands which exist in an organization, and we try to remove them either through cross-functional enterprise systems. One is ERP system where we discuss its components, benefits, and the hurdles. We have also taken up CRM, what it is. We are moving from seeing customer as a transaction to the lifetime value for customer. We have focused on the phases of acquiring, nurturing, and pampering customer, acquiring the customer, enhancing the customer, and retaining the customer. We have discussed the types, the operational, analytical, and collaborative. We have also discussed what is CRM and CEM, which focuses more on giving a customer a valuable experience. Now, coming to the third context, which is supply chain management, we'll briefly introduce this topic and try to complete it tomorrow. Yes, I do have I will try to complete it. Tomorrow's class might be taken by Asif. Now, what is supply chain management? Can anybody define supply chain in his own layman's term? Yes. Because I think many of you attended that session undertaken by.
Supply chain refers to the chain of people or the group of people who are involved in transport, in reaching, in making a product reach from the place of production to the consumer for final use.
Yes, anybody can define supply chain.
Ma'am, it's a part of
Ma'am,
operation.
supply chain,
Ma'am,
Yes,
ma'am, supply chain management can be defined as the management of the flow of goods and services between various businesses and locations. That includes movement and storage of some raw materials, work in process inventory, and finished goods as well, from the point of origin to the point of consumption.
very well defined, Umar. From the point of origin to the point of consumption. What is the point of origin? That
ma'am,
is the
come to
Ma'am,
me.
manufacturer.
where
Ma'am,
Where
come
the
to me.
production takes place.
Production.
What could be the point of origin?
Ma'am, the production unit of a company.
Production
From,
unit of a company or even beyond.
from where
So,
raw materials are taken.
yes, right from suppliers. So, if you're talking about production unit, you would be talking about Maruti assembling a vehicle. But we can go, when we say origin, it could be Maruti who is producing maybe an Alto or Wagoner or your Baleno. It could be beyond. It could go beyond the assembler to the tire manufacturer, to the plastic body manufacturer, to the engine and chassis manufacturer, to the even the horn and the light manufacturer. It could go beyond, which is tier one supplier, tier two supplier, as you move upward in the chain. So that's very well defined from the point of origin to the point of destination. That is consumption point. So it includes every member in the particular channel. It includes every member in the channel. Um, a layman's definition we often say is it consists of 7 rights, ensuring that the right product reaches the right customer at the right time, at the right place, at the right condition, and so on. So let us see, when we talk of supply chain, it extends upstream to bring within purview the suppliers. So it could be the tire suppliers. You break the tire. There are two components in the tire. There is this aluminum part and there is the rubber part. So the rubber manufacturer and the aluminum circle manufacturer, right? It could go one further step beyond that to actual extraction of aluminum. It could go to that point, or producing or growing of growing of rubber. So it can go to the plantation also. So it can go beyond as far as possible. So it goes upstream to bring within purview the suppliers, and downstream to bring within purview the retailers. So when we talk of retailers, it could be fine. It could be Maruti who's making the vehicle, and it could be the dealers who's actually giving the selling the vehicle to you, to the consumer. So from the point of origin to the point of destination, very well defined. So it goes upstream to bring within purview the suppliers, and downstream to bring within purview the retailers, along with internal functions, what happens within the organization. So within the organization, I'm purchasing raw material, I'm assembling them, I'm manufacturing them, I'm packaging it, and then selling it. So along with the internal functions which take place within the manufacturing setup, which could be of purchase of components and raw materials, which could be actual assembly, which could be packaging them and then sending it, all in one chain in a single system. So it is a one long chain uh, which supplies the good finally to the customer. So if we break it down, we can think of 3 entities. One could be upstream the supplier and his various suppliers. So it could be the tire manufacturer, somebody who's giving me the, say, MRF who's giving me the tire, okay, or Sheet, which is giving me the tire. So that's the tire manufacturer upstream. And downstream, it could be the agency which is selling my automobile, and the Maruti. So there are 3 entities that I see. Upstream, maybe the tire manufacturer. In the center, the actual assembler, which is Maruti, and downstream, the dealer who is actually giving you the giving the vehicle to you. This is seen as a single system. So if we break it down, it consists of three broad entities: the upstream supplier, the downstream retailer and distributor, and the internal organization. We see it as a single system. Now, we don't use the word chain. We don't use the word supply chain system. We use the word network. So, can anybody say why? Why not supply chain? But we should use the word network. Yes. Can anybody make a guess? Why we say network? It's not a chain of relationship. When we say a chain, it means a single thing. Why do you think the word chain should be replaced by network? We say it's a chain of relationship. The supplier upward, in the center, the manufacturer, and the dealer downward. We see it as a single system, as a single chain. But a better nomenclature would be a supply network system. Can anybody maybe make a guess on an understanding why should call it a supply network system, not a chain? Yes, I can see some names: Omar, Tushar, Arma, Ashutosh, Yatendra, Varisha, Kratika. Can anybody make a guess? Why do you think we should use the word not a chain but a network?
Ma'am, because I think we are not procuring material from a single vendor, but from a different vendors. So we require a team that can manage, and that comes under the under the department of operation. So to fix into a particular thing, we have called it supply chain management.
Okay, so
And
when we
because it is not like a linear chain kind of
I
thing,
think
it's more like a web-like structure.
yes, it's a multiple.
exactly, it's
Ma'am, I think that
yes,
it's something like multiple chain, multiple supply chain.
true. Uh, it was a good understanding. When we see a chain, it is three or four people in a line, right? So upstream, it is one the tire manufacturer, the retailer, the actual assembler, and then one single retailer. But when we are selling automobile all across India, we are not selling through a single retailer. We are selling through a number of retailers, a number of dealers, a number of stockists. So there is not one. So when we are talking about getting some product upstream also, we are not taking it only from one supplier. We are getting from various suppliers. So it is no more a single line which puts them in a chain, but it's a web of relationship. It's a network of relationship that we use. So it's a web or it's a network of relationship. So in fact the term uh, chain should be actually be replaced by network. So it should not be supply chain management, but it should be a supply network management. So if I'm selling through a dealer, it's not a single dealer which is selling across all across India. So there are n number of dealers in one city, in Agra for instance, or in Delhi for instance. They could be selling through 13 or 14 or more number of dealers. So it's not only a single chain, but it's a single line of relationship. It's a web, it's a network. So in fact, the term chain should be replaced by a network of relationship or web of relationship. So it should be web management, supply network management, not supply chain management. So it's a web or a network of relationship which exists, and basically information is the glue. So how is it that we are able to tie them all together? We are able to bring them all together and by put them all in one system where information is the glue. By sharing information, we are able to about what is the demand. Sharing information is how much I can supply. We are able to pull them all together. So it's a web or network of relationship, and information is the glue that holds the entire system together. Information is the glue that holds the system together. And any lack of information or wrong information can disrupt the working of every member in the chain. So if we do not have the right information, it will disrupt the working of the chain. So if one person gives you wrong information about the demand, so that information will flow upward. And this is, I think, what was depicted by um, Sundus, who took that session, a game on Bear Game for You, where she created a chain of relationship. I think there were three or four chains created. Some of you did attend it, wherein we had the retailer who was giving to, I think, the warehouse was giving to the stockist, so stockist was supplying information to the factory. So if the retailer sends a wrong signal about demand, it will a wrong signal will be passed on to the warehouse will give a sorry the warehouse wholesaler will depict communicate a wrong information to the stockist will give a wrong information to the factory, and factory will produce maybe more than is actually required or less than what is actually demanded. So it is necessary, the only thing which puts them all together, which pulls them in one chain, which keeps the relationship going, which holds the system together, is basically information. So any lack of information or wrong information can disrupt the working of every member. So if it is the stockist who has made a wrong assessment, it is going to have a spillover effect. If it is the stockist who makes a wrong information, it will going to have a spillover effect. If it is the retailer downward in the chain who makes a wrong information, it is going to have a disruptive effect all across the chain. So it is very necessary to have a cohesive relationship. It's very necessary to share information with each other to keep the system going. So it's a web or network of relationship, and information is the glue that holds the system together. Any lack of information or wrong information can disrupt the working of every member. Now, this is what we call bullwhip effect, which was given by J. Forrester in his book on industrial dynamics in 1961, which talks about variability of upstream site is greater than the variability of downstream site. What we mean by variability is the difference or the discrepancy which comes is low at the downstream end, but it goes on increasing upwards. And this amplified order variability is because of various reasons, which we call behavioral causes and operational causes. Can anybody define the difference between the two? So this phenomena wherein any disruption which exists in the supply chain, right? We had in that game which was taken up by my scholar Sundars, we had the retailer, the wholesaler, the stockist, and finally the manufacturer. So beyond the manufacturer, we have suppliers, but we could not make the chain so very long. So we ended with the with the manufacturer. So if the retailer gave a wrong information, that distorted information is spread across the entire chain. So any kink in the chain can have far-reaching effect, and you cannot predict what difference it is going to make on the working of the chain. So variability of upstream site is seen as always greater than variability of downstream site, and this amplified order variability is because of behavioral causes and operational causes. Can anybody differentiate between what we mean by the behavioral causes or the operational causes? Yes.
Ma'am, the behavioral causes are concerned with the behavior of the consumers, and the operational causes are concerned with the production process of during the product or
Uh,
producing the product.
is it the behavior of the consumer? Your first line, which you said behavioral causes are because
Yes,
of the
yes, ma'am.
behavior.
Like not the consumer, the entire the people who are part of the supply network.
Okay, and operational causes you said is something to do with the manufacturing setup.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
how
the
much time
production
do
of the
they?
product.
And can anybody add to it? Omar, Tushar, I can see some names. Varisha, yes, Yatindra, Ashutosh. Anybody can add to,
Maybe operational causes. Then maybe operational causes like some technical problems in the chain,
for instance.
which can be at any stage of the supply chain.
Okay, to a large extent, I think Arma could answer. Behavioral causes is
Operational
because of the
causes not includes only manufacturing. It includes all the operations like maybe calculating the demand or sourcing the raw materials. Every procedure involved in the whole supply chain or whole supply web comes under the operational causes.
Ashutosh. What is your background?
I'm
What is
mechanical engineer.
Okay, mechanical engineering. So we do have some engineers, particularly of the relevant field, I think who will be able to
No,
answer
I
better.
worked as a production engineer for 1.5 year.
In which company?
Luxor writing instruments.
Okay, okay. Huh. See, behavioral causes, as rightly said by Arma, is to do with the behavior of the consumer and every entity in the chain. So, if I think in the bear game, she must have given you a background wherein uh, there is a fall of snow. Like it becomes exceptionally cold in the developed country, say in UK, and there is a snowfall. Right after the snowfall, naturally it's going to be very cold. People buy bear in order to keep themselves warm. So there is variability in the weather conditions, right? So sometimes that's difficult to predict. So when there is a variability in weather conditions, it's going to snow, you stock more of bear, expecting it to become more cold in the following week, right? So you go on purchasing bear. So that depends upon the weather conditions. Now how a consumer behaves, he is going to order more. Now retailer is going to be affected by the order. So if it was 10 cans of bear in the first week, and it is becomes 15 in the following week, the retailer gets an understanding that the demand is going to increase, so let me stock more and more. So even if I get a demand of 15, I stock 20 or 22, much more than was the actual demand, right? So this is the behavior. So the retailer is playing safe and keeping more, and maybe having an increment in the carrying cost. There could be another retailer whose behavior, who is more willing to take risk. So if the order is 15, he does not order for 20 or 22. He orders for exact 15. So he's willing to take risk. So how the individual behaves, his own psychology, his own understanding of the future is based on his own understanding of his experience earlier, right? So it is his mental set which asks him to play safe and order more, and retailer too decides no, he is more willing to take risk, and he orders for exactly 15 as the order has been. So that's a behavioral cause. It stems from the consumer, it moves to the retailer. So somebody who stocks more, plays safe and stocks 22 units, he would be he would put a demand of 22 despite the fact that he received a demand of only 15. So when the wholesaler sees a demand of 22, he does not know the actual demand is was 15, and he is ordered for 7 more. And if even he plays safe, the 22 gets converted into say 32. So he sees a demand of 22 and he plays safe and makes an order for 32. Similarly, the wholesaler now gets an order, stockist gets an order of 32. He's also safe player. So seeing 32, he says maybe the next order might be much more. So he places an order of 40. So the manufacturer receives an order of 40. You see, we began with an exact order of 15. When there is no communication between them, no information flow, this 15 became 40 at the factory level. So factory, when he receives an order of 40, he believes that maybe next week my order might increase. So he manufactures, say, something like 48. So that 15 got amplified into 48. So this amplification, so any kink in the chain, the kink was at the first point. I received an order of 15, but I placed an order of 22, 7 more. So it goes on increasing so that 15 amplifies and becomes 48 at the end. But if we talk of next retailer, he gets an order of 15 and he places an order of 22. The wholesaler receives an order of 22, but he's willing to take risk. He places an order of 22. So this, what happens is it gets an equilibrium is created if we have different players in the same chain, who some are safe, some like to play safe, some like to take risk, but it's very difficult to predict. So how a chain is operating is depending upon the behavior of the entities in the chain. Now, as rightly said, I think that was Yatendra who talked about, uh, uh, yeah, who talked about, I think that was Yatendra who talked about operational cause. Arma said operational is to do with the manufacturing system. Yes. What is the time of manufacture? So they take 10 days to manufacture one component or a particular good, or they take 3 days. So what is the time is going to be affected? If the time is long, say instead of 3 days, it takes me 20 days to manufacture, Then it is influenced, this is an operational cause. Now, beyond this, operational cause is also the lead time between order and dispatch. So it depends upon, if I'm getting the good from, say, Chennai and it comes by road, it takes me 3 days for the product to reach me, or 2 days for the product to reach me. But if it is coming by flight, it will take a couple of hours. So this lead time, whether it's a lead time of manufacturing, whether it's a lead time of transportation, so any kind of a lead time, that's one operational cause. So right from, say, manufacturing time phase, getting product from the supplier to the manufacturing system, say, the components come from, raw materials come from Chennai to Delhi, so it takes me 2 days, so that's 2 days. Production time is 5 days, so the total lead time in the chain works out to be, say, 7 days. Finished product from my side takes 5 days to reach the customer, so total of 2 plus 5 plus 7. So whatever is the total operational causes, these fall under operational causes: the manufacturing time, the lead time between order and dispatch of goods for the raw materials, the lead time for uh, uh, finished goods to reach the customer. So all this is added. These are the operational causes. So there are two causes which in fact influences the supply chain: operational causes and behavioral causes. And there are n number of work done on operational causes. There are few on the behavioral causes. So all these, so there could be 24 to 36 reasons. So if we rank the reasons, there are four major causes, that is, which is identified in a supply chain, which gives rise to the bullwhip effect, which is also called Forrester effect or BWE, bullwhip effect. And the major causes are demand forecast updating, order batching, price fluctuations, rationing, and gaming. So these are the basic causes: demand forecast updating, order batching, price fluctuation, rationing, and gaming. Now let's take this example of demand forecast updating, which I think has already been taken up in many ways by my scholar Sundars, and beyond that, also by uh, uh, by me just now. What is demand forecast updating? Is something like this: customer receives a demand of 10 and he places an order of 10 to the retailer. When retailer places an order to the stockist, the wholesaler, he plays safe and places an order of 25. The wholesaler gets an order of 25. So if you remember, she used different colored chits. He places an order of to the factory or stockist for 35. So it increases from 10 to 15, 15 to 25, 25 to 35. This happens because there is no communication between them. There is no information flow. Had each seen the demand of 10, so the factory would have produced 10. But since there was no communication between them, so retailer places an order of 15, he plays safe, wholesaler places an order of 25, factory produces 35, he sees 25 and he produces 35, so the 10 becomes 35. So this is demand forecast updating, because you're forecasting. You're not playing with the actual figure. You don't know the actual demand. You make an estimate of demand. What is a forecast? Is an estimate of what the future is going to be. So you make an estimate of demand. So this is one major reason. And how can we do away with demand forecast updating? Is through EDI and electronic point of sale. So if at the retail end some product is selling, we let everybody in the chain know how much is the sale. Or in this case, when 10 was the order placed, we let the stockist, we let the wholesaler, we let the stockist and even the factory know the actual order was of 10. The actual order was not of 15 or 20 or whatever. Second is strategy that we follow is a vendor managed inventory, or in short VMI. In the VMI, what do we do is whoever is the vendor. So the vendor for a retailer is the wholesaler because he's the supplier. The vendor for the wholesaler is the stockist because stockist is supplying to the wholesaler. The vendor for the stockist is the factory. So the factory manages the inventory of the stockist. The stockist manages the inventory of the wholesaler. The wholesaler manages the inventory of the retailer. So if they are given the charge to manage the inventory of the low entity whom he supplies, he knows how much inventory when he is going to place an order, and automatically the dispatch would take place. So this is what we call a vendor managed inventory, in which through electronic point of sale, the wholesaler is able to see He has an actual data of the sale taking place at the retailer end, and he knows the inventory that the retailer places. So the retailer always sees that he has 100 units on display. So when there are 200 units and sale today is of 10 units, it becomes 190. Tomorrow we sell 20 units, it becomes 170. Third day I say sell 40 units, it becomes 130 and goes on reducing. The moment it reaches 100, I place an order. I think you must have done all this in operations management, wherein you must have discussed P system and the Q system. So this is a system under which we decide this is the point at which we place an order. So that's what we call a vendor managed inventory. And another is what we call a continuous replenishment program, where I think we've discussed this when we discussed the case of Walmart. In a continuous replenishment program, we go on replenishing on a daily basis. We replenish on a daily basis rather than we replenish daily rather than we wait and replenish. We send stocks at the end of a week. So this is continuous replenishment program under which we replenish daily. We don't replenish on a say weekly or a monthly basis. Second reason is order batching. Now, anybody explain what is order batching? Can make a guess of what are order batching? Under order batching, what do we do? Yes, anybody can explain what is order batching?
I think we make if a customer has made an order, so accordingly we procure that material and we make it in a batch so that we can deliver it on time. So I think we make batches of orders and accordingly we deliver to the customer.
See, on order batching, what we do is, yes, say we want to take benefit of a full truckload. So if I wait till my order is sufficient to to fill up the entire truck for dispatch. So we're working on full truckload. So we do not replenish on a daily basis. We wait when the orders are sufficient for dispatch, only then we make a dispatch. So this is what we call order batching. So uh, so we why do we focus on order batching is because we want to reduce on the cost of transportation. We want to reduce on the cost of transportation. So this is what we mean by order batching. So we send products in a week so that there has been sufficient orders to fill up an entire truck, and therefore my per cost of transportation reduces. So if I have to pay 10,000 for hiring a truck, and if I have 10,000 units, I'm paying 1 rupee per unit, isn't it? That's the cost of transportation for me. If I have to pay 10,000 for a truck and ultimately I'm sending only 500 units, then the cost of transportation per unit becomes very high. So we break bulk, and maybe we resort to small wagons. So we use small wagons, or we use what we call 3PL, third party logistic service providers, who in fact is carrying goods not only for me. He's a transporter who's carrying my goods, who's carrying goods of another three company. So it's easier to fill the entire truck. So he's carrying goods for many others. So I get the lower cost by hiring the services of a third party logistic service provider. So this is how I do away with the problem of order batching. And the third is price fluctuations. There are many price fluctuations which come about, because of which the sale increases. Like say I go for a weekly discount. So Wednesday bazaars of Big Bazaar. So there is a huge discounts on products on Wednesdays. So my products sell, or they could be winter sale, or they could be seasonal sales like winter sale, or they could be like festival sales. So in these times period, what we do is we give a sale or we give a discount on goods, and as such the sale of my products pick up, but it's not an actual reflection of demand. So we should be conscious that when a sale has picked up, is it a normal sale, or is it the sale which is taking place because I'm giving a discount on so many items, a seasonal discount, a winter discount, or whatever, or a festive discount. So this kind of, it's a misleading picture of the sale. So we should share these information with the upward party, so the wholesaler knows that if there's a huge demand and I'm asking for more goods, it's not because it's an actual pattern of demand, it's because I have put a discount scheme, I floated a discount scheme this week. So we should share information of discounts and schemes with the upward party, so they get a right picture of the demand and they're not misled, right? Then EDLP, everyday low pricing, which Walmart initiated, in order to increase footfall and increase. So any kind of schemes, discounts, EDLP, all this information should be shared upwards because it gives a wrong picture of demand. And lastly, rationing and gaming. Under rationing and gaming, when we expect a shortage to come, what every buyer would do is he will increase the demand picture and try to hoard more. So if I know there's going to be a shortage of a particular good, we also know that the my supplier is going to ration my supply. So even I ask for 100 units, he's going to give me less than that. So what I do is, the buyer, say the retailer, tries to increase the demand. So instead of ordering for 100, which is the actual demand, he orders for 400, knowing that if I order for maybe 200 or 300, the supplier will ration, wholesaler will give me less than what I've asked, because at his end also he now needs to distribute to so many retailers. So he will not give me 100, he will give me less than that. So I increase my demand and place an order for maybe 250. So when he supplies, maybe he gives me 110 or the 100 that I was looking forward to. So they try to game the rationing. So in such a case, every supplier should see the last record. What has been the past record of demand, and accordingly work. So these are the four causes. And how do we mitigate also, we have discussed. So there are behavioral causes and operational causes. The major causes are demand forecast updating, order batching, price fluctuation, and rationing and gaming. Demand forecast updating can be done away if we share information, if we resort to continuous replenishment program, or through vendor managed inventory. Order batching, the problem of order batching can be done away by breaking the bulk, or by online system, or small wagons, or by resorting to taking help of third party logistic service providers. And price fluctuation can be done away by sharing all information of schemes and discounts and EDLP with the upward members of the channel. And rationing and gaming can be done away with. Problem of this can be done away with by following the past record to place my supply. Now, it allows supply chain management software allows a company to integrate data and information with the suppliers and retailers to decrease cost. It creates a form of inter-organizational system that creates a seamless system for buying raw material, producing goods, and packing to send to retailer shelf. Uh, integrating the supplier with the manufacturer and the retailer. That is the basic purpose. It's a planning system that can provide information up and down the chain, right? So it's the same information which flows up, enabling everyone to see the same piece of information. So it was a customer order of 10. So that 10 is viewable by the wholesaler, by the stockist, by the manufacturer, everybody. So everyone will engage in better forecast. So as a supply chain planning system enables a firm to generate better forecasts, develop better demand plan, develop better sourcing and manufacturing plan, coordinate change in information, coordinate change with supply chain activities with supply chain manager partners, minimize cost all through the chain. The demand plan that retailer has gets converted into sales plan. Sales plan gets converted into, when it moves up at the manufacturing level, it gets converted into manufacturing plan. Manufacturing plan gets converted into sourcing plan. So there is one plan which operates throughout the chain because it's the same demand which is seen by everybody. So the demand plan gets converted into sales plan at the low end. Sales plan gets converted into manufacturing plan. Manufacturing plan gets converted into sourcing plan. So it is one plan which operates throughout the chain. Yes. So we are over with the crux on supply chain management, the problems that it faces, and SCM software integrates every entity in the chain. So we have started with what is disjointed or uh, information system or information islands, what problems it creates. It does not give a seamless picture of the organization. So maybe one system, finance, is working well, but it has no integration with marketing. Marketing system in itself is working well, but it has no integration with production. So marketing wants to sell something, but production is producing something else. This should not happen, and therefore we need cross-functional system. One was enterprise resource planning system, wherein we discuss the components, advantages, and the hurdles. Customer relationship management system, where we talked about customer no more being a transaction, but the lifetime value of the customer. We try to elicit. We decided on the phases. We decided on the types of CRM. We also discussed. Now we move to SCM and supply chain management system, where it gets the supplier, the manufacturer, and the dealer, the retailer all on one plane. So it is one plan which is spread across. If any kink in the chain, and we also discussed that the word chain should be replaced by either a web or a network, and any kink in the chain can have far-reaching effects, which has been discussed very well by Jay Forrester in Industrial Dynamics, which we call the Bullwhip Effect. And we have also seen how the Bullwhip Effect can be mitigated. Any question? Yes. Anybody has any query?
Ma'am, I want to ask that, ma'am, bullwhip effects, in bullwhip effects, we came to know that distorted information sometimes from one end of supply chain,
Yes, Omar, you can repeat your question. There is some network issue. I cannot hear you.
from one end of a supply chain to the other can lead to tremendous inefficiencies. So, ma'am, how do exaggerated order swings occur, and how can we minimize them? I was asking about that.
Yeah. See, the basic thing in that game that you played, they didn't let you communicate with each other. So
Yes, ma'am.
which we talked about right at the beginning, it is information is the glue which binds them the entire system together. So there are so many dealers, there are so many suppliers. How is it that we can work cohesively? We can do so because we are sharing information with each other. So if it is a demand of 10, so the wholesaler also comes to know it was a demand of 10. The retailer is getting a demand of 10. The wholesaler knows, the stockist knows, even the factory knows. So there is no miscommunication. Once there is no communication, the retailer supplies for more and then asks for more from the wholesaler. The wholesaler puts in a greater demand to the stockist. The stockist places a higher demand to the factory. All this can be removed if we have information, the right information. We talked of point of sale. So at the retailer end, what is being sold, if the exact figure is communicated to the wholesaler, nobody will be misled. So this is what we talked about. The earlier we were focusing on forecasts. So because we never had information, we made a forecast of what you expect the demand to be. So I think we took here. Yes, the 10 becomes 15, 15 becomes 25, 25 becomes 35, and maybe factory produces 35 or even more. So this will not take place. This can be removed if we have electronic point of sale and linkage with everybody. So what is selling, the stockist knows. So at my outlet, which brand is selling, which SKU is selling, at what rate it is selling, if we know. The other we talked about is vendor managed inventory. So I know how much is to be, how much stock the retailer keeps. So the retailer places an order whenever the stock level comes down to 100. So if he has 200 units and I can see the sale has been of 20 units, so it comes down to 180 at the beginning of next day. The second day I sell 30 units, the stock comes down to 150. So I am able to track the stock which is kept at the retailer end. This is called vendor managed inventory. So if your immediate supplier is maintaining inventory for you, so he knows immediately when to supply. So there he has a sight into working or the sale which is taking place at your outlet. So it became 150 and then another 40 units sold, it becomes to 110. The moment 10 units get sold, I know I have to stock, I have to supply. So the vendor for the retailer is the stock is the wholesaler. The vendor for the wholesaler is the stockist. So it's a stockist who's managing the inventory. Therefore, we call it vendor management inventory. Who is managing the inventory of the wholesaler. It's the wholesaler who's managing the inventory of the retailer. So all these problems will be removed if we let them manage our inventory, let them know the status of demand, let them know what actually is the demand figure. It can also be removed if we share information. So when there is a sudden sale taking place of certain items, say garments, so it should not give a picture that suddenly the sale of garment has increased. The sale of garment has increased only because I have put a discount on certain items. So this discount information, all this, if this is shared, if there is more information sharing between the partners, entities in the chain, all these problems of the bullwhip effect will be done away with. Done away with. So this is what we, right at the beginning, we did say that information is the glue which binds them together. If you remember, I think I showed you that
Ma'am,
slide.
why is it called a bullwhip effect? Like when it all comes
Yeah,
down to
yeah.
information. Why is it called
With
a bullwhip effect?
when you whip a bull, the harder you whip, the more you see him jump, isn't it? When you whip a bull, you strike a bull with a whip, you can see he jump, and he jumps first small steps, and then it's a higher steps. You get my point? So you
Yes,
see
ma'am.
him run. So it is the jumps that he takes are initially small, and the jumps he takes on a third step or the third or the fourth jump, it is higher. So this is what happens. So first it was 10, it became 15, then it becomes 22, then it becomes 35. So it gets more exaggerated as it moves upward. The exaggeration or the is much more. So the 10 became 15, so there was an increment of only a 5. It becomes 22, so there's an increment of 7. Then 22 becomes 35, so there's an increment of 13. So it goes on. The increment that it takes place, the distortion is much more when we move upward in the chain, right? So that 5 was the only difference. 10 became 15, so the difference was of 5. Later it became 22, so the difference was now of 7. Then the difference becomes much more, much more. It becomes say 35, so it is 40, so it becomes much more. This is exactly what happens when you whip a bull. The jumps it takes initially, the first or the second jump is small, and then there are higher jumps. So that is how he's correlated it, and he's called it a bull whip effect. That is how a bull behaves when you whip him. Okay, any other query? Before we wind up, so we are over with your course. Possibly, I will not engage a class tomorrow, so Asif will take my class. But then, students, I want you to form groups of a max of 10 to 12, not more than that, and submit your names. Now, we'll give you for presentation certain topics. So it's a mix. Mix in the sense there are maybe 1 or 2 cases which has questions which you have to answer. So I could be allocating them, or there are certain articles or papers which need to be presented by you. So there, it's a mix. It's not that there are cases for everybody. So I think I have 3 cases with questions for you to answer, where you will read the case and analyze 1 or 2 groups. The other is certain papers on information technology, which is of relevance, which I'll share with you. And you have to make a presentation with what is the crux, what is the lesson that you learn from that. Okay. The third is when you have to compile information to identify the problem and give a solution. So there are a mixed bag kind of a thing. So it depends upon your luck. So you form the groups and tell, let me know with the group leader's name to whom uh, I can mail the link. So there's a 3 kind of work which is all mixed up. So there could be some of you who could get case for analysis, where it would be followed by a list of questions, maybe 1 broad question or 2 or 3 questions which you have to answer. Second would be wherein there are certain papers on information technology, where you have to highlight at the end what was the crux after making a presentation. And the third kind is I'll give you certain topics where you have to compile information and identify the problem and resort to resolving the problem. So just form groups of 10 to 12, a max of 12, and 10 could be the limit. And I will float the topics by hopefully Monday. Uh, and then we give you 1 week's time for preparation. After that, we'll have presentations, maybe 3 presentations or 4 presentations in a day. So I give you time. Possibly we will be over with this, I think, by next week. So maybe Saturday or Friday we begin the presentations. So kindly be prepared. Send me your names at the earliest. Form your own groups and send me the names. And then I'll give you a schedule for presentation. I'll share the topics and give you a schedule for presentation. Any query on this? So I've told you it's a mixed bag. There are some cases for analysis. There are some where you have to build a case, and I'll give you a question to answer how to resolve it. And the third is a set of articles, papers, which you'll present, defining at the end what was the crux or what was the learning from this particular issue. So we call it a day.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Sure,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.